My name is Louise. I have a brother who's 3 years younger than me, and he has been diagnosed with schizophrenia. Originally he was diagnosed with psychosis, but his condition seemed to deteriorate and then he was re-diagnosed with schizophrenia. So it's really distressing to see somebody that you love so much going through that, and to see how much his personality had changed, because he was always really popular as a child and as a teenager. He had lots of friends, he was really outgoing. To become this really introverted person and someone whose mind to me had turned against him was the most difficult thing I've ever had to experience in my life. What eventually happened, what led to, I suppose, my mum phoning social services and trying to get help for him, he went out and stood in the middle of the street just like a statue, and we thought, if this continues, he's putting his life in danger. So I was actually urging my mum to get help, to try and get him sectioned, because I just didn't know what else to do. It was just impossible to be in the same house as him, living like that. It just took over the whole house, and I just felt like we were on this journey to madness, really. So it was such a difficult decision for my mum to make, because that's her son. Of course she doesn't want to see him go into hospital and have people come and take him away. But that was the right thing, that was what we had to do. So she called, I think it was social services or someone in the medical profession, and she told me that I had to go up to my room because she didn't want me to see what was going to happen. And that's what I did. So I just went upstairs, closed my door, put some music on, didn't look out the window, didn't want to see what was happening. And actually after the first time I went to see him at the hospital, I couldn't go back for a few days, because to me he wasn't my brother. He recognised me, but he just wasn't relating to me like his sister, or in the same way his personality had changed. Looking back now, that was a really awful time. It was really upsetting, it was really distressing. It was horrible to be in the house when my brother was sectioned and when he was first in hospital, but it was a massive relief as well, because I finally felt like he's going to get the help that he needs. Somebody is going to do something about this, and somebody is going to help him, and somebody is going to make him better, and hopefully his life is going to return to normal. And actually I think there's a grieving process that you go through as a sibling, because for me my brother had been my best friend, he still is, but his personality has changed through this, and although we still share the same we share some of the same interests, we like music, we like doing things together, he's not the same person he was, and it's really, really sad actually to go through that, to realise that the person that was closest to you, your peer, your sibling, is not the same person they were. And actually that's something that you need to go through, I think, to properly deal with this, or you'll just continually be upset about the loss of the person that they were and not actually realise how much their illness has impacted on you and on them today. Because when he was going through his mad phase, I just didn't want him to be around me. I didn't really want him to be around my friends. I was quite embarrassed by his behaviour. It was completely erratic. He could just act completely off the wall, and it was difficult for me because I didn't really know what to tell people, how much to tell them, what to tell them about his condition, because it's very personal as well. It's somebody very close to you, and there is still a stigma attached to mental health. Not everybody will understand it. I remember somebody actually saying to me that they thought that he was at it, that they thought he was just acting it, that they didn't even recognise that he had any mental health problem at all. So there is still a lot of ignorance out there. But once he'd come out of hospital and he got the diagnosis and he was on the medication and he was getting his life together, I was so proud of him, and I wanted to show him off a bit and to be around him a bit more, and it was like having my brother back again. But I've never really felt that I could really turn to my family to support me with things. My brother obviously has a serious mental health condition, and he gets a lot of the attention. Rightly so, because I don't have a mental health condition, and for him that's something that's had a devastating impact on his life, and my mum and dad have had to make themselves available 24 hours a day to support him. But I suppose I maybe felt I've missed out a bit on the attention, because he gets all the attention from them, while I'm left to get on with my own life. So I've become very, very independent. I went to uni at a very young age, and then I wanted to go travelling, so I took myself off around the world. But even when I was away in Spain, I can remember getting a phone call from my mum about my brother, about how she couldn't handle his behaviour, and how difficult it had become. And I actually felt really angry, because I just felt like I can't escape from this. You know, I've gone travelling to have fun and see new experiences and meet new people, and I still can't escape from what's happening in my home life. So it was still very much in my head, and I think it's always been there. You know, my mum was in the house with my brother herself, so I guess for her she just maybe thought that I could cope with it, and I was the closest person to him, so he reached out to me for help and wanted to talk to me about things. If you have a family relative, a sibling who has a mental health problem, and even more so if you've been around that, it has affected you. It can't not affect you, because it's somebody you love, it's somebody that's close to you. They've undergone this massive change. It's probably impacted on other members of your family. It's had a massive impact on their life, and it will have a massive impact on your life. And if you've spent a lot of time with them, if you've grown up with them, if this is something that you've grown up with, it will undoubtedly have had an impact on you, your personality, who you are as a person. I'm very lucky that through work I have an employee assistance programme, and one of the things that they offer is free telephone counselling if you're having any work or personal issue. And it was something that I decided to take advantage of, because I started to feel I wanted more help to cope with what was going on at home, particularly now as I've moved and living in London and my brother's in Scotland. And I had, I think it was about 6 sessions with a counsellor, and she was just absolutely fantastic. Another thing that really helped me, it was my mum actually sent me an email about the Siblings Network conference through Rethink Mental Illness, and that was earlier on this year. And I didn't even know that anything like that existed, I didn't even know there was help for people whose siblings had mental health problems. And I went along to the conference, and it was just it was amazing to see so many people in the same situation as me. Some people who their brothers or sisters didn't even have a diagnosis, or they were still going through the chaotic phase with them. Some who'd gone into recovery. But when that conference finished, I went to get the tube home, and I phoned my brother, and I just said, "We are so amazing, we've been through so much together." And that was how I felt coming out of it. I actually realised how much we've dealt with and how far we've come.